Hey Tubies, it's Psychic Bob. Well, it is so awesome to be back with you. Well, here we are. It's Saturday, and that means time for our Saturday seance. Last week, we talked about the Spiritualist manual's definitions, the Declaration of Principles of Spiritualism. And a lot of you said you really enjoyed hearing those, and you asked me if I would teach more extensively on the religious tradition of spiritualism. And spiritualism is something that's very much part of my life and that I love. And so today we're going to have kind of an extended video because we're going to have a little lesson on spiritualism, and then we'll have our seance. Now, let me kind of just clarify. I speak on spiritualism because I am a spiritualist. I've been a spiritualist for more than 20 years. And I actually practice both religions. I practice spiritualism and I practice Wicca. And the two are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they work together very nicely. And people will say, oh, you can't be two religions. Yes, you can. If you look at the country of Japan, most of the population are practicing both Shinto, which is the ancient Japanese religion, and Buddhism, which was a later import to Japan. So most Japanese people, if you ask them what their religion is, they'll say Shinto and Buddhist. They practice too. And so I'm like that. I practice spiritualism and I practice Wicca. And I don't really feel there's a conflict in having two religions because they both enrich, part of my life. When I first started out, I was a spiritualist, and it was interesting because I've been a psychic all my life, but I didn't know that there was a church for psychics. Now, you don't have to be a psychic to actually be part of the Spiritualist church, but there are a lot of psychics in the Spiritualist church. And I started doing readings. It was after I got out of college, and I was really in some bad financial places. Started doing some readings just to make some extra cash because I love to do readings. And one of my clients said, Bob, have you ever been to the Spiritualist church? I said, what's spiritual? I never heard of this. They said, oh, it's a church of people just like you, psychics. I said, really? I was amazed. I just never heard of it. So I went and found a Spiritualist church and started attending. And I was really amazed and enjoyed it. And every Sunday we'd gather. And the church was like a standard church. It had stained glass windows, a steeple. It was old stone church down in Washington. And in the pews, every Sunday we had these manuals. Now, I did not steal this from the church. I actually bought this. But this is an old spiritualist in this beautiful dark maroon covers. And we'd always start our services by reading the Declaration of Principles. And I thought real quickly we'd go through these again like we did last week, okay? And so this is kind of what got me thinking in terms of what spiritualism means. And the principles are as follows. There are 9 principles. Number 1, we believe in infinite intelligence. Number 2, we believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are the expression of infinite intelligence. Number 3, we affirm that a correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance therewith constitute true religion. Number 4, we affirm that the existence and personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. Number 5, we affirm that communication with the so-called dead is a fact, scientifically proven by the phenomena of spiritualism. Number 6, we believe that the highest morality is contained in the Golden Rule. Whatsoever ye would that others should do unto you, do ye also unto them. Number 7, we affirm the moral responsibility of the individual and that he makes his own happiness or unhappiness as he obeys or disobeys nature's physical and spiritual laws. Number 8, we affirm that the doorway to reformation is never closed against any human soul here or hereafter. And number 9, we affirm that the precepts of prophecy contained in the Bible is a divine attribute proven through mediumship. And these are the principles that guide the National Spiritualist Association of Churches, which I used to be a member of. Now, I'm no longer formally associated with the National Spiritualist Association churches. Simply, I got tired of church politics, to be honest with you. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean NSAC is at all bad. I love them. I think there are many spiritualist churches throughout the country that are very good. I just happen to have been connected to some that had some bad politics. That being said, I've never quit believing in spiritualism. I'm just a little more free that I don't attend a structured church. Okay. Now, there are some definitions here of spiritualism as well that I think are worth touching in on. One is, and these are also in the hymnal right next to the principles, it's called definitions. And these were adapted by the National Spiritualist Association of Churches. Number one, spiritualism is a science, philosophy, and religion of continuous life, based upon the demonstrated facts of communication by means of mediumship with those who live in the spirit world. Number two, a spiritualist is one who believes as the basis of his or her religion in the communication between this and the spirit world by means of mediumship, and who endeavors to mold his or her character and conduct in accordance with the highest teachings derived from such communication. Number three, a medium is one whose organism is sensitive to vibrations from the spirit world, and through whose instrumentality intelligences in this world are able to convey messages and produce the phenomena of spiritualism. Number four, a spiritualist healer is one who either through his own inherent powers or through his mediumship is able to impart vital curative force to the pathologic conditions. Number five, the phenomena of spiritualism consists of prophecy, clairvoyance, clairaudience, gift of tongues, laying on of hands, healing, visions, trance, apports, revelation, levitation, raps, automatic and independent writing and paintings, photography, materialization, psychometry, voice, and many other manifestations. Excuse me. And any other manifestations proving the continuity of life as demonstrated through the physical and spiritual senses and faculties of man. So these are some of the definitions as well of spiritualism. Now, I could speak for 6 hours on each of these points. So today I'm not going to get fully into all of this, but I wanted just to kind of set some definitions so you can think about them. You might want to go to the National Spiritualist Association of Churches website, nsac.org, I believe it is. I'll put the link below. And they have these principles listed there, and you can print them out and study them for yourselves. But today I wanted to talk about a few of the points, okay? I think what we'll do is each week we're just going to go through a few of these points, okay? So today I want to talk about the first point. We believe in infinite intelligence. What this means is that spiritualists believe in a higher power. We believe in a God. Now, some of you are going to say, well, Psyche Bob, I thought if you're a Wiccan, you believe in the goddess. Let me just clarify. There's not a conflict, because infinite intelligence is the consciousness that creates all reality. Wicca says also we believe in one divine force, that it eventually emanates into two forms of male and female. Spiritualists don't necessarily take it that far, but there's, it's kind of Wicca's view of deity is an extension of spiritualism's view. So I think that they're both in harmony. Now, what does that mean? Well, as we said, it means the divine force. Infinite intelligence, I think, is a wonderful name because it means that a loving, creative mind has created all that is. And spiritualists have faith. They believe in connecting to that force, that power. Point number 2 says, we believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are the expression of infinite intelligence. And what that means is that life and death, the cycles of birth, life, death, are all part of the greater plan, the expression of the divine. And so when we contemplate that whole cycle of physical and spiritual, we believe as spiritualists, we live eternally as spirits. We take a body, we come into the earth, we live for a while, and eventually we shed those bodies and we go back to God, back to infinite intelligence. And that we believe that throughout that there's a whole phenomena that is existing, and that all of this phenomena of life and death and spiritual expression are expressions of divinity, of infinite intelligence. So it means that life is part of a bigger plan, a great mystery, and a spiritual at that. Spiritualists discard this materialist idea that we're just a bunch of molecules and when we die we go into the ground and that's it. We believe there's an ongoing phenomena of life. So spiritualism, according to point number 2, is really what you can say is very life affirming. Okay. Number 3 says, we affirm that a correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance therewith constitute true religion. See, it's not enough just as a spiritualist say, oh, I believe in it. It says a correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance with it. So it means that you live in a way that you are conscious of your connection to God, to your fellow humans who are also on the journey. It means be aware as a person, be self-aware, live in an enlightened way, that you are in accordance with the highest truth. And that says that this type of life then constitutes true religion. How many of us know people, I know I've seen, and I'm not trying to sound self-righteous because I've got my own sins and faults, but how many of us know people, you've never seen them once do a spiritual thing in their life. They don't ever follow any religion. They're hateful to everybody, cruel as cuss. But boy, when you say the name of God, suddenly they act all righteous. Well, I believe in God, and I know God's this. And there's nothing in their lives that would make you believe they're a true believer in higher power. We've all seen that, haven't we? Well, spiritualism says you can't be a spiritualist and live like that. That if you are a spiritualist, you have to have a correct understanding of this expression, meaning you realize your place in the connection of the cosmic hierarchy and that you have a part to play. And that you not only believe it and know it, you live it, you practice it. Now that's true religion. Okay? Number 4 says, we affirm that the existence and personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. What this means is that we don't believe in materialism. We believe that we are made up of physical substance and spiritual, and that spiritual substance will continue even when the decay of the body happens. Basically, life after death, and life is eternal. Point number 5 says, we affirm that communication with the so-called dead is a fact, scientifically proven by the phenomena of spiritualism. Now, this is one of my favorite points because, and this is probably going to branch off into another discussion here, spiritualism, during the years that I was in it, started to have a split. Part of the people said that it was a denomination of Christianity. And part of this spiritualists said, we're not part of Christianity, we're an own independent religion of spiritualism. And what's interesting is that when I was a spiritualist, I actually believed it was a branch of Christianity. I still think in many churches, now again, it goes church to church with spiritualism, but I personally believe that at least the branch I was brought in was predominantly Christian. The church looked Christian. We sung Christian-type hymns. We had a picture of Jesus in the church. We had a Bible on the altar. Crosses. Seems Christian to me. I don't at all feel comfortable with that, because in those days I, was still predominantly Christian. And So spiritualism being a branch of Christianity just made sense to me. What was interesting is that when I would talk to other Christians, they'd say, oh, you guys aren't Christian. You talk to the dead. We don't believe in that. And they used to be very offended, saying spiritualism was somehow against Christianity. And I never felt that. And I used to challenge the Christians, and I would say, does your church teach that there is life after death, that souls continue in existence with God? Every Christian I met said, oh yes, we believe in the eternality of the soul, the spiritual life. I said, well, spiritualism believes the same thing. And I said, the only difference is that we prove it. We demonstrate it through our mediumship when we have spirits come and communicate with us. And I could never understand why that was considered so offensive, because many traditional Christians say that's wrong, it's of the devil, you're talking to demons. It's just not my experience. Spiritualism gave me understanding of the proof of the afterlife and gave me faith in greater power in God. So this point number 5 says, we affirm that communication with the so-called dead is a fact, scientifically proven by the phenomena of spiritualism. Now, what many people don't know is in the early days of the spiritualist movement, many prominent scientists joined the movement. And they would actually let mediums hold seances and conduct scientific experiments that to this day have not been disproven, the evidences of that. For example, just to throw out a random fact here, do you know that during a seance, mediums tend to lose a few ounces of weight? They put mediums on scales, and during seances, their bodies become lighter. What this is believed is that the spiritual essence, the ectoplasmic power that generates psychic phenomena, actually departs from a medium, and they can measure a physical change in the body. At the end of the seance, the weight returns to normal. So you don't see a lot of this anymore, which is kind of sad, but in original seances back in the 1800s and early 1900s, this was very common to do tests on mediums to confirm that, one, the mediums weren't faking it, and two, the phenomena could be documented. So we have history proving that there is spiritual phenomena and communications have occurred. One of the other examples, for example, there are some mediums who do what's called trance writing. They'll go into trance and the spirit will write through their hand. Now what's interesting is they've had handwriting analysts sit in on seances to observe it, and a dead person would come through a medium and start writing, and they would take the writing and compare it to an actual handwriting sample from the person's actual writing when they were alive, and found that the medium channeled the exact writing. And handwriting analysts know there's so many little, complex jots and symbols of writing, you can't really fake that. It's either there or it's not. And they've been able to prove that mediums are able to literally channel the physical writing. Now this is again another phenomenon that you don't hear about anymore. But this is why I love point number 5, because it says that we not only talk about it, we back it up. And I think for anybody who believes in spiritual truth, whether you're Christian, non-Christian, I think that spiritualism does a great service by giving evidence to the truths of eternal life. Point number 6 is we believe that the highest morality is contained in the golden rule. Whatsoever you would that others should do unto you, do ye also unto them. Now this comes from Christian teaching. And as I told you, in many spiritualist churches, they used to, now this is the big shift, but in England you'll still see this, a lot of you in Britain know this, the blue cross. This is one of the symbols of spiritualism. I have a blue cross in my house because it represents for me spiritualism. Even though I'm a Wiccan, I still believe that Jesus is an ascended one, a master, a teacher. We can study and learn from him, and he can bless and inspire. So, I don't find a conflict with believing in the power of Christianity and Wicca. In fact, today I'm wearing, this I'll have to show this to you, I just got another little blue cross. I have a collection of blue crosses, and this is I wore today because we're talking on spiritualism. But this is a little, it's called Millefiori. It's a little glass cross with little flowers in it, and they sometimes make paperweights out of these. But this is, I'm wearing today, it's a blue cross, because this is a traditional symbol of spiritualism, the blue cross. And as I said, in many churches, still in Britain, you'll find the blue cross in the wall, on the wall in spiritualist circles. Now, in the United States, you don't really see the blue cross anymore because they've switched over to the sunflower. Most of the spiritualist churches have stepped back from Christianity and have decided to define themselves independent of it, which I understand because many of the traditional Christian churches are hostile towards spiritualists. And so there's not a kind of a sense of ecumenism. Most churches will not bond in the Christian community with the spiritualist church. Though the spiritualists, many of them are quite devout Christians and pray to Jesus and have their cross and their Bible. And I think it's sweet. You know, some of the little spiritualist church ladies I met were just wonderful. And if you asked them if they were Christian, they'd tell you they were, even though they said, well, I'm a spiritualist Christian. So I don't think there's a conflict between being a spiritualist and a Christian either. So anyway, but this is where, they in many spiritual churches, they do quote the Bible, and they say, it's point number 6 says, we believe that the highest morality is contained in the golden rule. Now that comes from the Bible. Whatsoever you would that others should do unto you, do you also unto them. So that comes out of the teachings of Christ. Okay. Point number 7 says, we affirm the moral responsibility of the individual and that he makes his own happiness or unhappiness as he obeys or disobeys nature's physical and spiritual laws. So what point number 7 is telling us is that you are the master of your destiny. You create your own heaven or your own hell by your choices. Now, we want to take that point and jump back to point number 2. Okay, point number 3. Point number 3, remember, said, we affirm that a correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance therewith constitute true religion. So remember I said at point number 3, you got to walk your walk and talk your talk. Okay, well, point number 7 kind of takes that a little further and says, you create your sorrow or your happiness. And that sorrow and happiness you create isn't just for the moment. Because remember, we're not materialists. We don't believe you just die and you're done. That energy you set in motion continues with you throughout this life and into the next life. Now, for those of you who've led sinful, evil, crooked lives, don't worry, there's still hope for you. This is what I love about spiritualism. Hope is eternal in this faith. Point number 8 says, we affirm that the doorway to reformation is never, hear that word underlined, never closed against any human soul here or hereafter. So what that means is even if you've ignored all the above, lived your life evil, done bad stuff, and you end up in the spirit world, in the place of darkness, purgatory, hell, there are hellish realms. Even purgatory, even spiritualism believes in hell. But it believes in a temporary hell. It says the doorway to reformation is never closed. So it means that even if you've messed up and you created this life, you end up dying, you go into spirit, there's still a chance. You can repent, you can open your mind to higher truth, you can start on the path of restoration. Now, many souls will tell you, and I've heard it from my own spirit guides, Rose and Alfred went to purgatory when they died. And what happened was they both lived their lives in very selfish ways. They didn't go right into the mansions of glory and the streets of gold. They went to time out. So when you're in time out, you get to reflect on what you've done and you get a chance to start setting things right. And so for those of you who have lost loved ones and you said, gee, I don't know if that person made it. Well, you pray for them because we believe as spiritualists that they can still be reached and their souls helped. So that's a lot of hope. Now, somebody's going to write to me and say, well, Bob, what about animals? It says any human soul here or hereafter. Well, that's a good question. I asked a spiritualist minister this once. I said, why does it say specifically say human soul? What about our pets? What about ours? And the answer that I got, which I think is really true, is that animals don't commit sin. They are pure in themselves. They don't have the hang-ups humans do. So they never go to hellish realms. They go straight into the light. All animals do. So we don't have to worry about them. If you have your pet animal that you love, they'll be in the light. But you know what? You want to live in a way so that when you die, you'll get to be with that animal. A lot of times you never think about that, do you? But anyways, I think it's a good point. And point number 9 says, we affirm that the precept of prophecy contained in the Bible is a divine attribute proven through mediumship. What's that mean? Well, the Bible, we believe, as spiritualists, is a channeled work, i.e. prophecy, channeling, all gifts of the Spirit. And all of these realities exist through the process of mediumship. And so that mediums can also be channels of further revelation, meaning spirit communication is available to all of us. So anyways, I could talk 10 hours on this. I could do a whole weekend conference on spiritualist teachings. But this is a lot to absorb right now. So I'm going to leave this with you just to think about this, okay? And we'll come back to this in future talks. Next week we'll have some more of this. But today, I wanted to, again, remind you of the mystical blue cross. I have designed a blue cross that is going to be placed on my website in the next week. Angela and I are working on updating my website. But if you wanted to have a spiritual blue cross to put in your house, I'm designing one that you can download, print out, and put on your shrine or in your altar, your meditation area, so you can have the symbol of spiritualism, okay? Now, for those of you who say, well, Bob, I'm not a Christian, I still believe in spiritualism, the blue cross is not distinctly Christian. It does not necessarily represent crucifixion, because spiritualism teaches that we can't just throw it all on Jesus. Jesus does not just take everything. We still have a responsibility. So the blue cross represents the intersection of our prayers going up and being met and greeted by those in the spirit world. So it's kind of like our ascension into heaven is greeted by those who come together. And so it's like the crossroads of the meeting between us and the spirits. So that's another interpretation of the blue cross. And the blue represents hope and celestial light and blessing. And as I told you, I'm wearing a blue cross today because I just like it. I think it really speaks well to spiritualism. Anyways, there are some thoughts for you to think about today, okay? And if you want to ask some questions about what we talked about in today's class, definitely, put some questions in the box below, and we'll address those next Sunday, okay? So I think probably for the next few Saturdays, sorry, I got my days off. Saturdays, the next few Saturdays, we're going to have a little spiritualist class and then a seance, okay? Well, I'm going to get ready for our seance. So let me get settled down. We'll be back here in just a minute, so stay with us. Well, Tubies, I have so enjoyed being here with you today and sharing about spiritualism. And, as I sit here and look at my beautiful little blue cross, reminds me of my days back in the church when I used to wear a blue cross all the time, and it brings me a lot of peace and a lot of joy. So I'm going to put on my blue cross here before we go into trance. And for those of you who are new here, what we're going to demonstrate today is called trance mediumship. This is one of the phenomena of spiritualism. And trance channeling is when a medium goes into a trance state and spirits overshadow their consciousness and take temporary control of their mind and their body reflexes. Now, it may look a little strange, but I promise you I'm in no pain or distress. Channeling, as I said, may take a little while to get used to. It looks a little strange, but it's an opportunity for the spirits to really come close to us and so that we can hear their voices and communicate. As I said, I never know what happens. My spirit guide's name is Fletcher, and he's my gatekeeper. He guards my body and regulates who has access to come through the channel. So I'm going to hopefully let him take over, and he'll run the show today. So I'm going to get comfortable here. In fact, I'm going to just turn down our lights. When I do channeling, I like to have softer lights. So in the winter time when it's really dark, I use the red light. But today we have soft, subdued light. I think you guys can see me. And we'll see what the spirit world has. Hold on, let me adjust my chair here. Yes, there. That's better. So I'll see you guys when I get back. there we go. I think we're in the body. Oh, greetings to all of you. This is Fletcher. Oh, we're so excited to be here with all of you. I tell you, y'all got a lot of glow around you, a lot of soul glow today, a lot of eager minds waiting to learn. Oh, it makes those of us in the spirit world so happy that we can come and be with you in this way. Our medium is so kind to let us use his body so that we can interrupt you in this physical vibration. You see, if I were to step outside of our medium right now, you wouldn't be hearing me because my voice is in a spiritual frequency that's way above human hearing. Eventually humans will develop machines that you'll be able to listen into the spirit world, like you listen to a radio. But right now, this is the best that we can do. But we're so glad to be with you. Oh, I got a few people be wanting to speak. So I'll be stepping from the body. This is Fletcher, over and out. Yes, Fletcher, I believe that we're in the body. Greetings. This is Alfred. Many of you have been calling out to the spirit world. You've had a lot of fear in the last few weeks. You've asked if life is eternal, and you've had fear of the world ending. I'd like to tell you that from our side of life, we are closely monitoring the earth now. The vibration of fear is all about the world. There are wars and rumors of wars. Some of you believe that the Third World War is coming. We of the spirit world cannot control human free will, but we can monitor and guide those of higher mind, that there will be forces of light to balance out the darkness that is encroaching. All over the earth, there are people who seek a darker agenda, those who have lost faith in their own spiritual selves, those who dwell in the realm of materialism. When people believe only in materialism, they lose hope, and they think that the answer to all their problems is through domination, through conquering another, that if they can control another, then they will have power. This is a falsehood and a myth, and we in the spirit world seek to bring balance back, balance to the earth, and balance in the spirit world. As our medium has spoken to you earlier, he said that there are many realms of vibration in our world. And it is true. There are realms of glory and light that are so powerful that if your earthly eye were to look upon them, you should be blinded and decay into dust. There are also realms of darkness, and yes, even realms of fire. Some people in their soul need to go through purgation, and the flames of purgatory, as you have heard of the Catholic Church speak of, are veritably true. For some, this purgation is necessary. Some go to the very realms of fire, but yet instead of being terrified and horrified, they feel a joy in their spirit. People say, how can you be in flames and yet be joyful? What you must understand is that the spiritual world is somewhat different than the physical. One can be immersed in flames here and feel the pain, and yet the joy of the spirit overrides any physical sensation that one has. The truth is there is no physical body, there is only a spiritual body. The spiritual body, though, has senses similar to the physical, though much more acute. But also more acute is the clarity of mind and the awareness of truth of the realm of light. And when one wishes to be in that light, though one may cross through a purgatory, one is uplifted in that purgatory by the joy that awaits one. And so know that those souls who are in the flame, they are not without hope. Some do not understand their condition, and for those who are blinded to why they find themselves there, angels are dispatched, and the angels bring to them the truth of their condition and how they can turn their hell into a purgatory that is aiming towards heaven. Yes, there are many realms here. Many people arrive in the spirit world unprepared for this dimension, who they do not understand that they are eternal beings. It is very interesting when a materialist awakens in the spirit world. Many times they will find themselves in a beautiful field with flowers and trees and all sort of manner of beauty. This is so that their transition will be more gentle. Were an atheist or a materialist to be brought directly into the light of God, they should not be able to stand. And in fact, the very presence of the divine, as loving as it is, would be torturous to them. And for these souls, we allow them to gently awaken to the condition called death. The fact of the matter is that there are no dead, only life exists. We speak of dead in terms of the body. Yes, it is true that the body dies, but your soul, your consciousness, it will never die. And for those who are materialist, when they awaken here in the spirit world, they are gently awakened and told of their condition. And many of them protest, saying, I must be dreaming, or I'm not really dead, or where have you taken me to? I'm not at my home where I was when I was last remembered. For them it is a challenge, because as try as we might, we try to explain to them that they are souls and they reside in a new realm, and they fight and resist. Eventually they give up, or perhaps sometimes we'll introduce them to a loved one who has passed, and this will gradually awaken them and say, well, you know, it can't be a dream. I'm visiting with my long dead mother. She died 20 years ago, and now she stands before me. So understand that those of the spirit world will use many various forms to communicate to a soul and to welcome it to its new place, its new life. All of you would do well to prepare yourselves for the spirit world. No, we don't say that the world is ending. It is not ending. But for many of you, there is still a fear of what should happen after death. Death is no different than laying down and going to sleep and waking up and finding yourself in a different home. It is really that simple. And for some of you, you will not even go to sleep. Some of you will be in your body, and immediately you will find yourself standing in the spirit world. Some of you will have the chance to step outside of your body and see it in those on the earth before making the transition. Every case is different depending on many factors, depending on what you want, how advanced you are, what your soul needs, and what the council here determines is best for your transition. So no two circumstances are exactly alike. Try to understand that in the spirit world, there are many realms, as we said, of light. Some of the realms are so brilliant that they would dissolve you. Souls that choose can merge with the light of spirit. And if they wish to merge with the light of spirit, they in some cases give up a bit of their uniqueness and their identity. To take on the consciousness and mind of the Creator takes a great effort, and it is one only reserved to those who are the most advanced. At any time a soul may return to its individuality, and this is the beauty of the spirit world. One can descend down or up as one is ready. And so when you ascend to the higher places of the light, should you miss your family and friends in the earthly life, you can again leave the light and descend to a lower octave. Some of you will even take reincarnation. It is true that the soul goes through many vibrations, many lifetimes, many changes. And so all things in the spirit world are eternally evolving. Do not think that when you die, you will sit on a cloud and just sit and drink wine or play a harp. Life here is much more dynamic. You will have people to visit with, places to see, institutes of learning. Learning never stops. You have access to the Akashic records here. This is the recorded visual history of all that has existed on Earth and throughout the cosmos. Some of you will choose to be reborn in other planets, and this is also an option for you. Some of you will meet with others that you remember from other lives and again take up friendship. In the spirit world, the learning and the joy never ends. But to get to the beautiful realms of the spirit realm, it does take effort. We were listening earlier as our medium was teaching the class on spiritualism, and I must say it makes us very happy to hear him teaching of these things, for these are truths that many on the earth have forgotten, and this teaching is greatly needed throughout the world. Some of you here tonight are being called by our world to follow this path of spiritualism. Some of you are being called to be teachers of spiritualism. We welcome you into the journey. Know that we will come and assist you, but you must ask for our help. The spirit world is glad and eager to help you, but you must again give us permission. We cannot intervene nor interfere unless we have your welcome. So I invite each of you today to accept us, to welcome us, and to let us work with you. My name is Alfred. Oh, this is Fletcher. Give us just a moment while we get control of the medium's vibration. Oh, there we go. Well, we got somebody else here we wanting to talk to you. Greetings, my dears. This is Rose. Oh, such a blessing to be with all of you today. You know, when I was listening to our medium speak earlier, and he was teaching a lovely class on spiritualism, I could not help but reflect back to my neighbour Madge. My neighbour Madge was a member of the Spiritualist movement. I used to have very similar teachings come from her. Unfortunately, during those days, I was not a believer in spiritualism, and I even used to mock her a little bit. I was ashamed to say it, my dears, but it's true. I used to say, Madge, you have some queer ideas. And she used to say, Rose, just come and join us at a seance. I said, no, thank you, my dear. I'd rather be at the Church of England. My vicar tells me all that I need to know. Oh, how narrow I was in my outlook during my earthly life. You know, when you're in the body, sometimes you're challenged because that veil of forgetfulness goes over your mind. And it's as if we have temporary amnesia. We walk about here and we don't know where we've come from or where we're going. But this state of amnesia is necessary for us to fully invest in the earth life. The challenge of the earth life is to not lose your soul. You know, many people become materialists and they denounce all that is spiritual, much to their own detriment. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, Rose, if they want us to remember it, why don't you take it away from us? But you'll see, my dear, it's really a balance, because every person, no matter how thick the veil is over your consciousness, inside of your heart, you have never been taken away the knowledge of right and wrong. Everyone knows, as the Spiritualist book said, it said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Every human on earth, no matter what their religion or lack thereof, know that to be true. That it is not right to hurt people and be vindictive and vicious. That one should be kind and merciful. We all know this. Oh no, not many of us practice it in all honesty, but we do know it. And so whatever little bit of spiritual light that you have, you are responsible to follow it. Let the light lead you, and if you do so, you will have great joy, great happiness. Oh, and the spirit world will be most pleased to assist you. Our medium is so very kind that he allows us to use his body to come and speak to you. It's a very rare opportunity that we get. As Fletcher said earlier, it would be just voices floating in the ethers, and no one would pay any attention to us. And so we lowered our vibration, and were able to come through a medium. Some of you tonight are called to be mediums. You've heard our calling, you've felt our presence. And like our medium here, you may have a little bit of fear or trepidation. Oh, for a long time, this medium would not let us come through. He said, I don't trust it. I'm not going to let the spirit have control of my body. And yet when he gave in and allowed us to come through, there was no danger nor harm. And we are able to come through him as we come to you now, and to bring truth and light and knowledge. Each of you have an opportunity today to awaken more and more to the light. And know that by being here tonight, you have been each called to our seance tonight. And each of you are being given a mission. Be the light to those around you. You don't have to go preaching in the streets and screaming about spiritualism. No, in fact, my very neighbour Madge was most gentle with me. She only said, well, why don't you join us, Rose? Oh, she never preached at me, never told me I was evil or bad, or criticised my Anglican faith. No. She just said, invite me. And some of you, if you would invite people to come and join the seance that you attend each week, you say, come over to my house, we're going to watch the medium tonight. We're going to see a seance. The spirit people may talk. If you invite people over each week, then you're doing a great spiritual work, and you're opening their mind to their higher selves, to their own spiritual light. And in so doing, you will bring blessing to their lives as well as to your own. We used to also discuss, as Alfred was saying earlier, said, many people are fearful now that the world is ending. My dears, the world is not about to end, though I tell you, many times it's all looking that way. Over here we have been assured that it is not time for the destruction of the planet, though there may be people who want to press that agenda. Remember that your prayers and your light bring balance back, so each of you have work to do. It is true that humanity, if it wishes to, could destroy it, but so far we've been assured that the light quotient on earth is growing, and it will offset the destruction which was planned. Please do your part. Say your prayers for the earth. Pray for good people to have influence, and let the light come back to the earth. Each of you make the difference. You say, Rose, you am just one little person, which is my prayer matter. My dear, your very prayer may be the one spark of light that illumines the mind somewhere, that keeps them from engaging in destruction. Pray for the world leaders. Pray for Putin. Pray for Donald Trump. Pray for all of these leaders. Pray for the leaders of all the countries of Europe. Your little prayer could be the illumination that holds their hand from launching a nuclear missile. Yes, my dears, your power is greater than you know, and so do your part. We need you to continue, for it is not totally in the clear, as they say, but we are being assured that the power is growing, that life will continue. And if life is to continue, that means you all have missions to do. So, as we said, you have a mission of prayer. You have the mission of sharing the word of spiritualism to those who may be benefited by it. Over here, we believe that all souls should be spiritualists. But really, true religion goes beyond any label. So when we say spiritualist, don't take that as we're sectarian here. No, we're not. It's just a one term. We believe in spirituality, and that even transcends the religion of spiritualism, for all religions carry the light of spirit. And so, be open to that light. We happen to think that spiritualism is very needed on the earth, though, now, for it does teach the truths and the understanding and philosophy that will help many. Be it as it is, though, follow your own path. We invite you to join with us, and we thank you for receiving us this day. Fletcher says the medium's power is starting to wane, so we shall be stepping from the body. But I send you my greetings today, and I'm so very pleased to be here with all of you. Remember to look to heaven, call upon us, and we will come and help you. I look forward to hearing from you. My name is William. Hey Tubies, it's Psyche Bob. Well, I'm back from my trance, and I love to channel. I tell you, whenever I channel, I feel renewed in my spirit. It really helps me to connect with them, and I'm so thankful that they use me as an instrument for communication. Listen, if you've enjoyed today's class and seance, I might encourage you to pop over to my website. I have a wonderful book that I wrote called Messages from Rose. This is about my work as a medium, as a trance channel. You might really enjoy this book. I also have over there another book which is called Ouija Mysteries, the Spirit Board Seances. And this is about my work with the Ouija board. Both of these are wonderful spiritualist themed books that will help you in your journey of spiritualism. And so check them out, okay? Anyways, guys, I hope this has been fun for you, and I hope you'll help me out. Like this video, favorite it, share it with your friends. hit subscribe, be part of our channel. And if you want to get on my schedule for a private reading with me, you can reach me at my office, 571-483-2112. The link will be below. Or you can write to me at my email, readings@robert-hickman.com. Again, I'll put the link below. And we got a few openings left for readings. You want to get on my schedule for a private sitting with me. Well, I'm so glad you guys are here. Thank you for your time. Thanks for being here. And, you know, I'm going to meditate this afternoon on the beauty of the blue cross. And make sure to check back here in the next few days. Well, I announced it here, but I'm going to have on my website a beautiful graphic that I've designed. It's my own creation. It's copyrighted by me, of a beautiful blue spiritualist cross, if you'd like to have one to put in your home. Okay. Well, guys, thanks for being here. I love you. Send my blessings to each of you. We'll see you back here tomorrow on Sunday, because tomorrow night we've got a live broadcast. 8 p.m. is going to be the witching hour. Make sure to be here. It's going to be Lady Angela and Lord Tony and I, and we're going to have a great time. So also we're going to have a ritual, and, you know, make sure to be here for that. If you go to Wiccan Wednesday, I describe what the ritual is going to be and what you need for that. So go see Wednesday's video if you don't remember that. I haven't seen it, okay? We'll see you back here tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. That'll be 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific, 1 a.m. London time, 2 a.m. Paris time for the witching hour on Sunday. You guys are best. Love you. Blessings to all of you. We'll see you here tomorrow. Until then, may you always blessed